There it is, 2000. A milestone moment for a Pittsburgh icon.
Malkin dusts it off, right in front. Another chance, backhand score! It's Brian Rust with the goal. Rarefied air to Hall of Fame career, 1,200 points for Evgeny Malkin.
2nd and 9. Pickett lines up a deep ball. Separation. Touchdown. George Pickens.
Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio, 5100 West Library Avenue, the municipal building with the police station right across from us. Smoking Jim tiptoed to get in. He's been missing since last year. For some reason, he couldn't make the show last week, but we didn't pray for him because he said he was okay. We have a lot of great sports and more to talk about. First off, Happy New Year from the Pittsburgh Sportsline team here. And we're all in on it. We're glad to be here, and we're honored that you keep watching us, and we got YouTube going and all that other good stuff. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 21. I've been saying it so many years it comes back. Not just getting old, but did that too many times. Comcast 21 only in Bethel Park for all of you watching that now. Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and all the way from Nemacolin, Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between, including the city of Pittsburgh and basically Allegheny County. So thank you for all watching and your great feedback when we talk to you. Our YouTube page, we've been holding at 165. I don't know if Nick will have an update, but we appreciate it.
No, that's right, 165.
I'm saying we're holding.
Yep.
You just confirmed it. Thank you. See, we talk on different parallel universes because he just turned 25, and I'm holding steady at 6'7".
Thank you. Oh, you
Yeah.
weren't here last week. That's
And
right.
that cookie cake was delicious.
That's why I had something to take home.
His parents got to have a slice themselves, plus Drew got one because you weren't here. And he thanks you for the pizza and hoagie. Drew was like, he goes, Dad, we got to put some in the freezer. I can't eat all of this. But that's what happens at Pittsburgh Sportsline after show and pre-show. But thank you for subscribing to our YouTube page. We're trying to get 1K, and we know it'll take a while, but we're going to try to get some help on it. And if you have a moment, just subscribe to it and then check out all our shows. We're at like 907 shows, I think, on there. Mm-hmm. How's that for a guess, huh?
It's good. We're on season 14 now, too. This is the start.
Number 14, another year under the belt. That belt, I had to loosen it up a little bit with the holidays and those shows. Mm-hmm. And we like having a lot of fun here. And I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Smoking Jim Frazier is back from his holiday hiatus. Nick Callis is here. When Chip's not here, he fills in his seat. So we got Ragin' Rhodey is with us tonight. He's back from his hip surgery. What, it was a hip replacement?
Hip replacement, full hip replacement.
We'll let you talk about that on your segment.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, well, we'll just cover that real quick. He made it here. He told me he did it as an outpatient, and he'd probably be back in 2 weeks. Well, I think we went over 2 months.
1 month.
1 month, okay.
Give or take.
Yeah,
So not
well,
bad.
there we go. So he's ahead of the game, and our prayers were answered. He's here, and he has a lot of great stuff to talk about. We'll try not to go in the past unless he wants to, but we got our promos coming up right now in 10 seconds. Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Strikers. I worked there for 36 years. My former union, CWA PPMWS 14842, Pittsburgh Local Mailers Union number 22, is on strike. Even though health care benefits were secured for workers by the union, Post-Gazette management cut them out without the union's approval and still expected workers to show up without any coverage. Please cancel your Post-Gazette subscriptions online or in print. Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Union Strikers. Frank Fanera, owner of Olive Oil's Pizzeria and the Hillcrest Shopping Center on Route 88. Call them at 412-831-1900. Every Tuesday night, Olive Oil's Pizzeria provides the host and the amazing volunteer crew with an XL pepperoni pizza and a full steak hoagie. They are delicious. Olive Oils is proud to support Pittsburgh Sportsline and the volunteers at BPTV. Stay Joey strong. Joey Fabus died at 8 years old of brain cancer known as DIPG. Since then, the family has come together with community members to create the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. Since being founded, they've raised over $100,000. Go to jfccf.org to learn more about DIPG, to help spread awareness, and to see how else you can support and donate towards the fight against this dreaded brain cancer. Always Be Smiling, a 501c3 designed to help children and families in need of kidney transplants. The B stands for Bennett, whose memory is embedded in this organization by his parents, Kristen and Dean. Despite the challenges he faced in his 16 and a half years of life, Bennett always had a smile on his face and spread kindness to everyone he could. Now, Always Be Smiling wants to pass on that kindness. Go to alwaysbesmiling.org to learn more and see how you can support or donate to this organization. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. I'm Al Levine, trustee on the board of this great organization. The BPCF focuses on raising money to provide scholarships, grants, endowments, and more. Grant requests are available online from $100 to $5,000. You can also attend fundraisers or donate. Go to bpcf.org to get more information and to stay up to date on upcoming events. The Bethel Park Community Foundation, focusing community resources, building for the future. The Bethel Park Historical Society is a 501c3 that serves Bethel Park. The Historical Society operates out of the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, located at 2600 South Park Road. Look for the red and white trolley right out front. Reginald's Coffee is inside, and I've heard it's the best coffee around. To visit this great historical venue, email historicalsocietybp@gmail.com. The Hillcrest Christian Academy yearbook team is looking to fundraise through advertising. They want to give students the ability to have full-color pages with everything they need to remember this chapter of their lives. If you're interested in supporting Hillcrest Christian Academy and capturing priceless moments and highlighting student achievement, please advertise with the yearbook team. Pricing is listed right here. Payments can be made directly to the Hillcrest Christian Academy School. For more information, send a message to their email. Alex Reed is in need of a kidney. 2 weeks after college graduation, Alex's kidneys failed. A gracious donor gave Alex 7 years of life, but now he needs another kidney. To learn more about becoming a donor for Alex, call 830-285-2140 or go to kidneysolutions.org. Zhang Taekwondo just opened a new location in the South Hills, along with its location in Wexford and its inclusion in the curriculum of Provident Charter School in Troy Hill. Zhang uses Taekwondo to teach its students confidence and self-discipline through physical fitness. Zhang is offering a 4-week special. You get a uniform and lessons for $30. If you mention the Talking Machine, Smokin' Jim, or VIP Nick, they'll give you a further discount. For more information, go to zangtkd.com or call 724-934-9264. Okay. Ann Harder says, Happy New Year. Missed you, Mike. Brandy Mariano's watching. She wants to see Michael on the camera again. Peggy and Nick in Rochester, wishing this handsome panel a happy and healthy New Year. We salute you guys. Our greatest fans in Rochester. We know you got a half dozen more watching us, so we hope that community's growing. Paul Haley's watching. Diane Rohde's watching. She's been giving us updates on the guy next to me, so we knew he might be in tonight, and Nick reached out to him. Chief Chuck McElroy, machine may be right, NFL may be fixed. Happy New Year.
That was my opinion a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what did I tell you when my dad was a great referee? If you notice me, something's wrong. What were we talking about this weekend? Oh, numerous times. Oh, Brandy, this is the last week to advertise the Hillcrest Christian Academy yearbook. Donations need sent in by January 5th. No more promo needed. Thanks for the support. All right, Nick, you have a direct order from Brandy through me.
I just asked Michael. I said, right, don't we need to take that down after this week?
And he didn't know, but Mama came through. We're good. All right, Ralph Williams, hello, guys.
That's my man.
I know. How was your show? I don't care about anybody stealing my co-host. Watching Paul Haley, watching on live on Facebook in South Carolina. Happy New Year to Pittsburgh Sportsline. Happy New Year back to our biggest fan from Bethel Park in South Carolina. All right, we got to go to Mr. Hiatus. What's on your mind, Smoking Jim Frazier?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
I'll do it easy.
you got to see Levine. Hey, big shout out on the best brand new show programming to come on any airways. Michael and Marco got their show coming up, man. I can't wait to see it. But Al Levine, the talking machine.
I'm here.
I don't mop up for nobody, Kenny Pickett. Either play me or trade me. But hey, Al Levine, the talking machine. Anytime you wear your baseball cap on backwards, you get an attitude. But hey, please keep me posted. Whatever you do, please keep me posted on the Washington Capitals tonight. Two of my favorite players is going head-to-head, Ovechkin and Crosby, even though Ovechkin is number 2 all-time. Did you know Yager was 4 all-time?
Yes.
And Mario Lemieux is number 11, and Crosby's down there outside the top 20. I got to do some digging.
Well, let me disclaim.
I got to do some digging.
Let me do a disclaimer.
Where's he at?
Smoking Jim is one of the nicest guys. Look at the nice smile he has. Look how he talks.
I love him.
He knows nothing about hockey. He only learned on Pittsburgh
The other black
Sportsline.
guy you had on there, he know hockey. But Al Levine, the talking machine. High diddle diddle. High diddle diddle. Najee up the middle. Can you believe he got 923 rushing yards, Al Levine, the talking machine? Let's do all we can
I interrupt
to get him
you?
another 1,000-yard season.
Who
And that's what's on my mind.
Who has debunked that Najee's a bust the whole time on the show and since he's been drafted?
You.
Who
Me too.
mentioned the first year the worst offensive line, he broke legendary Franco Harris's rushing record. Last year he had a steel boot on for an injury that he had in training camp for 6 games. He got 1,000 yards last year. This year, I've heard what a bust he is, and the offensive line improved a little bit, but I said he's a north-south runner, not an east-west runner, because he's 240 pounds. He probably bench presses more than Smoking Jim, who was a power lifter of 212 pounds. But you see the long forearms that he has and he just knocks him out. He
got
punched
long
a guy in
reach.
the jaw.
His little reach is
Now,
long.
I'm not surprised that he can almost fall through some of the places and get 70, 80 yards to get 1,000. So it doesn't surprise me, but for all the naysayers who said I was wrong about Kenny Pickett, that's my second point. Those two guys, I know football a little bit. What are you thinking when a guy might have peaked his senior year? Go ahead.
Well, I tell you what, last night I heard something in my garbage can. I didn't know if it was a cat or not.
Raccoon.
Old habits is hard to
No,
break.
it was a
Levine talk-
I
Was
got
it a raccoon?
I got a quick question.
It was a raccoon.
Can I quick question while we're on the subject of Najee? Is he only a bust because he was picked in the first round?
I never said he was, but me and Al's on the same page. We love him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we love him. Yeah.
No, all the rest of you consider it a bust because he was a first-round
But
draft pick,
finally-
if you need to know.
Finally,
Because
listen,
we've had numerous busts
what
with Tom.
I didn't think he was personally, but I just wanted to clarify.
what the season.
I'm not accusing
what
you.
the season George Pickens is having: 63 catches for over 1,000 yards, 18 yards a catch. I tell you what, that's Roy Jefferson type numbers right there, and that's what's on my mind. Now.
Hold it.
I'm talking
You have
shit.
to explain who Roy Jefferson
My
was back in
favorite
the
player,
70s. One of my favorites.
1987, one of the best punt returners, one of the best receivers of all time. But he wouldn't park his Cadillac where he was supposed to. Coach Chuck Noll said those are for coaches only. Roy Jefferson the next day parked his caddy there and was on his way to Baltimore.
Hold it. You just brought up an important point to me. We have some problems, they say, with Tomlin being a player's coach.
Yes, he is.
And then talking about a lack of discipline. But in this day and age, you got to understand, you're allowed to speak your mind and do what you want.
Ain't that something?
Chuck Noll wouldn't have let Pickens play. Deontay would have been off the team.
Cowher wouldn't either.
Right. Well, some of the times. He had his favorites, too. Same with Noll. But just saying, you hit me, I'm fired up in the new year, ready
And
to
you
put things
deserve
out.
credit. Let's give a shout out.
What?
His son Dino ended his 5-year college career with a win. 0 touchdowns in 5 years. But congratulations, Dino Tomlin finished on a winning note. And that's what's on my mind, Al Levine, to talk
Hey,
about.
hey, Nick, if I could real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing about Najee Harris, in my mind, is not so much of a bust, but you talk about the fact was it first round. I have a very strong opinion that anyone who drafts a running back in the first round
Barry
these days
Sanders?
is wasting their wasting their
Barry
time,
Sanders?
wasting
It was
their
a different
effort.
game back then, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
And
since you-
Smith?
you
since
got
you were born
you got
in the
Najee
nebulous
Harris in the
Franco
first
Harris?
round. You've got Jalen Warren wasn't drafted. All right, they're playing equally. That's been my thing with
Jake Browning, where was Jake Browning drafted? Nowhere.
He had 5,000 yards in college.
Oh my goodness, he had 12,000 yards and 94 touchdowns for Washington.
it's
Yeah.
all
You
about.
get anybody in any round.
And the NFL comes and goes as far as who's drafted. Where I get it, cyclical game,
Yeah.
running game, passing game, whatever.
No,
but
you're bringing up a good
in this
point.
day and age, I just think they could have got a back of similar quality of Najee Harris in the third round.
No, I'll give you
without
one
question.
better.
I don't know. I'd have to go back
Starting
and look. But
center
they got Le'Veon
for-
Bell in the second round.
Starting center for Kansas City Chiefs we could have had.
Yeah, Creed Humphrey.
Starting center.
Absolutely.
Or instead of Freiermuth, Dr. Invisible, we could have had him.
Yeah, that's my only thing.
Yeah, those things, like, I always
But
wonder.
it's better than drafting Artie Burns in the first round and Devin Bush in the first round. So.
Whoa, we could
At least we
debate
got
this
some-
for
at
another.
least we got a
This will
better
be,
player.
folks.
Yeah, no.
We're gonna have to move this
No,
along.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sometimes I got to be the mediator. We let you go, but I expanded on it. Smoking Jim expanded on it. We have a bad habit of adding layers on, so I'm going to mediate this, and we're going to welcome Dave Cable to watching us.
What a guy.
Tim Kessel said, "Raging Roadie from Bradford, PA."
That's one of my buddies.
I know, you said he
Hey.
might. Amy Sliss, hi guys, Happy New Year. Welcome back, Smoking Jim, from your hiatus.
Yes.
So we're going to go right back and try to refocus on our segments. Nick Callis, I'll be very distinct. What's on your mind?
Well, Big Mike came in and mentioned Shohei Ohtani, first of all, and that saddens me. We talked about that already, but I forgot that Andy Rodriguez got hurt, and I don't think any of us talked about it at length. So RIP to him.
What
and
teams he play for?
Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's why.
Yeah, well, bad fortunes are happening.
Sorry.
Perhaps
Sorry, I'm quick.
Henry Davis will be thrust into the catcher's role this year, right? Because who else is going to
Hold
really
it.
do it?
Raging Roadie said about number one picks. aren't they almost irrelevant in baseball?
They're less relevant, obviously, because they don't see the light of day at a major league for a number
Thank you
of
very
years.
much. I got a good sidekick back. You're welcome back.
No notes, but yeah. So that's kind of sad.
This
And
was
then,
unscripted.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of sad. So I just wanted to reflect on the sadness that the Pirates are and have been for a little while now, and we'll move on. From
One
there.
question for you.
Okay.
You're sad about that, but is your prediction still hold for you say they're going to do better than 84 losses this year?
Gosh, I don't want to make a bet again, so we're just going to skip that for now. We're just going to skip it for now. I want to see more
That
development
quarter
in free
is
agency.
on my wall. I taped it on the wall.
I made that prediction in February when they were in spring training.
Why do
way
you think
before,
I'm doing a little pre-up
So
on that?
I'll know. Yeah.
It's stuck on my bedroom wall as I come in.
I did poorly, and I was close. If they would have had another month of April like they did, if they would have had another month at the end of the year like they did in April, they would have been fine. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good
now on to the
points. Thank
Steelers.
you.
I got plenty to say about the Steelers, so we'll save that for VIP time.
He's teasing, folks.
But
if
I
you
got
don't know
a-
the teaser's out.
I got a good chunk of responses from this tweet I put out in response to somebody else, and I'll just read it here real quick for you. Somebody named Mike DeCourcy, who writes about sports, said, teams that are poorly coached do not deliver the performances the Steelers achieved at Christmas and New Year's. They don't play hard for coaches whose messages have gone stale. Why are you clapping? Because I don't agree with that at all. No, I don't think it's good. I don't agree with it. Because I said, why does Tomlin always get judged for strong finishes? The Steelers were guaranteed a playoff spot till they lost to Arizona and New England. And now, even though they've bounced back, they're going to have to rely on unfavorable odds to make the playoffs. On the back of Mason Rudolph, as I'll add. So
Honesty.
Mike Tomlin said in his press conference on Monday, he said, we can only focus on the games that we have. We can only focus on the games. We can only win the games that we have. And my only response is, I know you can't ask more questions about this as a formal journalist, but where were you winning games, those 3 in that home stretch? Where were those wins? Where were you in control of your circumstances back then? That's just what frustrates me, that we're all living in this, wow, they really bounced back. Well, you had very winnable games on the schedule, and Indianapolis is like kind of a half because they had similar records, but still, now you'll lose the tiebreaker at Indianapolis, and maybe you could be at like 11 or 12 wins right now, but you lost to 2 two-win teams, and people make the excuse.
How about
13? Arizona's been playing great at the end of the season. Don't care. When you're putting up 10 to 13 points a game, averaging 15 point something, not good. So I'm not praising Tomlin at all, and I mean, there's so much drama with the Steelers. I got more to talk about, believe it or not. But that's just my initial, what's on my mind is there's just a circulation of talking where it's like, yeah, teams have bounced back under Tomlin, and it's like, but they could have controlled how they won, or how they played against 2 very bad teams, or maybe a third team that was kind of in the middle at home. So, I don't know how else to react when people say that. It's just like Tomlin's talking about it. We can only control what we have moving forward. Well, you could have controlled more in the past. And no, he doesn't deserve the credit for bouncing back. They don't have tiebreakers right now. They could make the playoffs, but it's not favorable the way that the odds are right now, that all the things that have to happen. They'll pull some magic out of their rear ends, I'm sure, but it's just frustrating that they had a more certain path, winning games by poor margin before what happened, and whether they shouldn't have started Trubisky after Pickett got hurt, whether some other decisions needed to be made. I'm just tired of the Tomlin praise. Maybe he doesn't deserve to be fired anymore. I'm still fine if you think he does deserve to be fired, but at the end of the day, he doesn't deserve this much credit right now. The Steelers are still mostly irrelevant because they're not doing much. They haven't done much in terms of playoff wins recently. That's what's on my mind.
Thank you very much. Check the film from last year. First half of the year, what was our record? I don't even want to talk about it. Second half, we're 7-2, and they're winning all these games, and the national media is saying Mr. Coach T should have been Coach of the Year. And I had mentioned, so some osmosis went through my 25-year-old now buddy here, co-host,
Even if you look at last year,
that I said, who was responsible for the 2-6 start?
yes, he did.
And I just had to revive it because I say some of these things, I'm a lot lower key than the rest of the panel, but I put some points out there and I try to hold back my sarcasm. because it's a joke with the arrogance that Tomlin puts out there. A friend of mine put about how the Steelers have been so bad the last 7 years and how come Tomlin gets so much credit. So I wrote back to him, the standard is the standard, and I quote that it's mediocrity I've been saying on my show. He used it on some Facebook post that Alan Levine says the standard is mediocrity, and I agree. So most of us Steeler fans, Nick thought I was disrespectful to general Steeler fans about a month ago when I might have alluded to their intelligence.
Oh, no, that was Pittsburgh Sportsline fans.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Our fans that watch this show are very smart.
Well, Pittsburgh Sportsline fans, some of them are the Steeler Kool-Aid fans. That's who
So
I'm
some of our
talking
fans
to.
are dumb?
No, some of them are Steeler Kool-Aid fans. You can pick out whatever you want. I'm not calling them dumb. He just said you're all dumb. So we're going to move on to Michael Rohde with his 2024 debut. Now, straighten up. Your parents are watching and you got friends.
All right.
I'm
Lots of
pumping
pressure.
you up. Go in there strong.
Awesome. Well, when our esteemed director / my son told me today that Nick said you're on the panel tonight, he said, Dad, what are you going to talk about? I'm like, I have so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start.
Hold it. We're stopping the timer. You got double the time.
All right.
We respect you.
I will say this. There's one consistency. I'll talk about what we've been talking about here for the last couple of minutes.
Yes.
The bad start last year, the 2 wins. There's one common element there. I'm not going to name names, but his initials are Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
All right. There was no business them signing that guy in the first place. There
Right.
was less business him starting last year. There was even less business him being given an extension and being the backup quarterback this year. I have no idea to this day what they were looking at. They thought, oh, he went to Buffalo and somehow he's a great quarterback now.
Because he saw Josh
and
Allen.
because he watched Josh Allen. I for the life of me, I don't understand where that was coming
I
from.
got to interrupt you on that point. They signed Trubisky, and I thought maybe there was hope. Then I heard, and Coach T had me fooled again. He goes, we're going to have a competition. They did not. Every media person that watched the Steeler training camp said Rudolph got no chances. So that tells me the mindset of the arrogant, smart coach. Now, he's a smart coach because you win with Rudolph one game. I don't care what pick it was, healthy or not, or the bad rumors. We'll get into that later. But he knows if you have a hot hand, what do you do, Mike?
Without question. And that leads
So
me to the
that
second
goes.
thing.
I figured
Yeah.
I'd serve it up to you. 'cause
Yeah.
I know where you were headed.
Yeah, I mean, with Rudolph,
I'm there.
I've always been a fan of the guy ever since Marco and I watched him throw for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns in the first half against Pitt when he played for Oklahoma
Of course.
State. And I was like, when they drafted him, I'm like, my goodness. And they said first round grade. And the guy never got a fair shake. We've talked ad nauseum over and over again about how quarterbacks can't walk in and just be prosperous. Okay, what's his name in Houston aside? Those are guys 1 in every 10 years. But for the most part, it takes them a while. They got to play. Well, if you look back, for some reason, Mason Rudolph never got that benefit of the doubt. He never played. Again, Marco's first ever Steeler game was when Ben got hurt.
Wow.
And he was a big Seahawks fan at the time. He's still a big Russell Wilson fan. We won't totally your failure as a parent.
We're
on my
not
part.
talking about that. Yes.
But so
You're allowed to bring the truth up. We
So-
have him here. He's like not some of these other people in media. He tells only the truth
There
as
you
he
go.
sees it.
So Mason Rudolph goes in, and the expectation is for the Steelers not to miss a beat. And if you look back in retrospect, why? The guy never was given any time to develop, never any time to do anything. He was only made the backup that year, right? He was a third-string quarterback for the years before that. Never saw any reps.
Yeah.
Now he's, and he wasn't named the backup until they got rid of Landry Jones like right before in the last cut.
Great point.
So
Great
now he's
memory.
elevated. He had really no time. He's never really had any time. And he showed, he got better. Yeah, look at everything that happened, the Myles Garrett incident, all the things that happened to him, and he persevered. So I'm really happy for him. The guy has been a professional throughout.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, I think he's probably played his way out of Pittsburgh in this quarterback-starved league where look what's happened in Cleveland, look what's happened in Denver. What a travesty that is. The guy's probably played himself into a $10
let me
million
debunk
deal
you on
next
that
year,
thought.
but
Here's why I got to debunk you. Tomlin not playing him puts doubt in all their eyes, because why would they not play him? Well, they didn't realize he plays favorites and people that like him. So, I mean, that's why there won't be the interest that you're thinking. They signed him at a minimum for $1 million. They re-signed Trubisky for $19 million, and Kenny Pickett gets only $12 million.
They're gonna have a lot of cap room.
I rest my case.
Let's put it that way. The Steelers are gonna have a lot of cap room, so it will be very interesting to see.
No, you're
what
making
happens
great
in
points.
on the offseason.
Sorry to
but-
interrupt.
No,
Carry
no.
on. Keep going.
But Rudolph, I've always thought that the guy could be a capable quarterback. Was never really given a good shot to do that, and I'm very, very glad that he's given the opportunity to keep this going. I think that if Tomlin would have gone back to Pickett, it would have been disaster. Yes, it would have been absolutely, utterly disastrous. But it's amazing what can turn around very quickly. We talked about this. This league is so quarterback driven.
Yeah.
So quarterback driven that all of a sudden, 3 weeks ago, the end of the Colts game, run this guy out of town, run that guy out of town, get rid of George Pickens, get rid of it. Now all of a sudden, Pickens is the best receiver in the league. And everything, and the offensive line is blocking because there's not 9 guys on the line of scrimmage on the defense anymore, right? And all it takes is a quarterback to read a defense.
Well, I'm
to
gonna
be able
give
to
a couple
read
of my-
and stand in the pocket for that extra 1 second
Well,
to make that throw down
I got
the
a
field
couple
accurately.
points.
Amazing what a good quarterback
I wanted
can
to
do
bring
for
up
you.
some of this, and what I wanted to tell people is, isn't it funny when you're losing, everybody's a problem. When you start winning, everything's fine.
Everything's great. Absolutely.
And that's the NFL today.
And one
I
more
just
thing.
had to share that. 'Cause-
This is one last thing, and I promise.
No,
I'll
keep-
stop.
you got two more things. I butted in on you.
One last. We talked about this several times, and I've never agreed with this about coaches' messages getting stale and players not playing. That's nonsense. These guys are professionally paid athletes. Okay, they do not quit. If they quit, they don't play professional football anymore.
Thank you.
So it may be a scheme thing here, a scheme thing there. But again, I've talked in the past about how they need to figure out ways to make it easier to play quarterback in the NFL because there's just not enough of them.
Yeah.
I've gone on and on about how
Look,
it's such a
they went-
quarterback-driven league. And look
Yeah.
at the change in 3 weeks. I've never seen anything like it. It is absolutely amazing. From Mason Rudolph, your third-string quarterback, probably in retrospect should have been your starter all year.
Or even previously when
Hindsight's 20/20. I get it.
Look how he was sharing snaps with the best quarterback Smoking Jim ever saw, the Duck.
Yes.
And Duck's out of football.
Yeah.
But my point is, I was even mentioned with O Canada all the time. I know he was a problem. They've proved it because they're using his offense.
Yeah.
And then I had said a couple times, even Smoking Jim might remember, I had said maybe Canada knows the quality of players he has, so he has to dumb down his plan. And if you don't teach them the right way to begin with and they're screwing up, hence what you were saying, and I always said I was taught as a freshman in high school, being a center, stand in front of a guy. Open-door Moore would walk to the left or right. Cole, who plays center, should not be on the team next year, even though he's thrown some blocks this year. He's never in front of a guy. They're on his right or left, and they come in. But these are just some points that I noticed like you. I appreciate you being sharp like that and bringing the points out, because that's where Tomlin gets the credit, like Nick's not giving him. Because look what he did with the 3 games with 2-10, 2-10 in the Colts.
We'll never know, unfortunately, if the whole philosophy behind with Pickett was to dumb it down and not let him make.
Well, how
not let
about to
him take
restrict
chances.
his ability to take risk?
Or was he just not able to do it?
Well,
I mean, it's
here's what I think the governor was. We want to restrict your risk-taking methods. And you have a line that's not blocking for you, so run. Get out of the pocket. That's why I always turned left, and they sacked him.
Right.
But I think the coaches coached him up that way, and Trubisky, when they put him in, he's like, I'm letting it rip.
and to disastrous results. The guy just can't throw the
that's
ball straight.
When somebody,
So-
second pick in a draft and he doesn't go to that level, I always thought they screwed him up in Chicago. Now I believe it ruined his athletic abilities because we don't have it. But, sorry to digress with that, but these are things that I see. And I will bring up more, and I'm not saving it for my On Location because we got to let Nick go at least 10 minutes on his thing. He gave us a tease because we know he's a deep thinker on that. But no, thank you for all that. It was a great comeback. Glad I could interject and talk with you while we did it intelligently, and we're not mad at anybody. So.
It's fun to get a little mad, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. All right. Couple other people are watching. George Malerbo, I've worked for many years at the Press and Post Gazette's watching. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, George. Ralph Williams, Tomlin got egg on his face. Ralph, when doesn't he? Chuck McElroy, Chief said, Mike is raging. I worked with him over 30-some years. Some of my guys are watching me like your guys. So. All right, I got to ask myself, where are we at? What's on my mind? Everything they talked about and more. We covered most of it, and my son Drew and I watched the games and all that, and we went to Olive Oils to eat. Wow. He bought a flying pig and a dozen wings. A flying pig has all the meat they have at Olive Oils on a hoagie.
Really?
And it's huge, and it's good protein and stuff. You guys need that to keep the weight off. So we had that for the start of the game, so we were fired up. And Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer didn't disappoint. And the running game, we're looking at the running game going, where's this been? We're stunned, and I'm like, Najee's proven me right.
Yes, sir.
I go north to south, north to south. How about the stiff arm? To the sidelines. All these things are working, and they're feeding Pickens. Could you get a guy any happier than that to get 7 catches now, and he only got 135 yards or so? And then you got 2 running backs. Look at Jalen Warren's over 1,000. We go back to Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier, 2 1,000-yard backs.
Well, that's 1,000 from scrimmage, not 1,000 rushing. He ain't getting 1,000.
Who?
Warren, he only got 700.
Oh, really? I thought he had
No,
1,000.
From scrimmage.
Oh, I stand corrected.
They did mention, though, that Warren and Harris have combined for over 1,000, and that's only the 5th time that's happened. I think.
Yeah,
Steeler history.
I put it up on Pittsburgh Sportsline. Go look on the page. I put that up there because you got Franco and Rocky and 3 other combos. And we have a couple of ours with Abercrombie, one of our running backs. He did it 2 times with Pollard and somebody else, if you check it out. But yeah, so it's been done. With who?
Ernest Jackson.
Yes, I forgot about Jackson.
One of my favorite backs.
Yeah, I knew Smoking liked them. Yeah, but it's just rare to see that. And then the defense looks so sketchy on the line with trying to hold a run. I mean, that was scaring us, and I'm like, how do we spend the most money on a defense that can't really stop them? And it just scares you to see that. So again, I go, who is scouting these players? And I always think players are responsible for their play. But how about coaches critiquing me and Smoking Jim and Nick? And did you play any ball? Mm-hmm. Coaches critique you, and why? They might yell at you like, well, you're not allowed to today. My friends that are coaches tell me that. But guess what? I was inspired when my dad would yell at me that I screwed up pitching, and I'd strike out the side because I didn't want him yelling anymore. Now, does that even happen in sports? I'm thinking you don't hear it because you're allowed to act up and you're allowed to not block. And then so what if you get 1,000 yards receiving? Those numbers are right. Pickens got 1,000 yards receiving, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
just checking because the scrimmage yards, I'm not sure how they do that.
I'm a journalist.
Pat McAfee on his show, he kids about being a journalist on his show. I'm hooked on his show. Shout out to our boy from Plum Borough. Have people that live out there. I even knew Andy, the ring announcer.
I don't support Plum.
He was friends. Andy, the great ring announcer, owned Rudy's Subs, and I think McAfee worked for him at one time and said what a great guy he was. We talked, unlike you.
He didn't have good work ethic.
He had a great work ethic. Andy told me. He told me, you got to be sketchy having Smoking Jim helping you. He said, I like him, but he always disappears. Well, enough of my, what?
Well,
Okay, that's enough.
I got a question for you guys, all right? The best running back I ever seen in the Steeler uniform was Barry Foster. In '92, he ran for 1,700 yards. Was Merrill Hodge so concussed he couldn't get that other 300? Merrill Hodge was a heck of a back. You mean to tell me that in '92, when Barry Foster ran for 1,700 yards, there was nobody that combined for another 300?
That's because Cowher came in and he switched the philosophy from the fullback. So that's why
Yeah.
Franco Harris was the fullback and Rocky Bleier was the blocker, which is
That's why you're
so,
in tonight.
and he flipped the switch, and that's why Merrill Hodge left and went to Chicago the next year.
And what happened, he was smoking so much dope, he didn't know he ran that many yards. Look at what he had in his trunk.
No, you're thinking of Bam Morris.
Oh, Bam Morris,
Bam
sorry.
Morris. Yeah, Bam was good. Yeah, Barry just, once he got that money, that was it.
Oh, that
If
he
it
was
wasn't
gone.
for Bam getting arrested, they never would have got Jerome Bettis
I
because
know.
they were set with Bam.
I know.
about that.
Yeah, Bam was pretty good now.
No, he was. He had his moments. Sorry to bring that up, folks. and if any of you smoke, I'm okay with that. Do whatever you want. Pete Kasich's watching. Joe Board's watching, two of our friends. We appreciate that. All right, we're
Let
going.
me just ask Mike one question, and I'm
You
probably
got a
the
whole
only
segment
one.
coming up in 5
Yeah, but I
seconds.
gotta ask this question. Since
I'll
he
cut
brought
his
it up.
time.
You know I love Jerome Bettis, but the guy I wanted was the A Train, Mike Allstott.
I would have loved to have All-Star. Any guy who trains by putting chains over his neck and dragging a Jeep around the neighborhood with all his friends in it, I wanted that guy.
No,
too.
I love them too.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
Black
Purdue
guys
man.
can't do that because of the skinny calves.
First disclaimer of 2024. For all of you that don't know any of Smoking Jim's comments, even though he's a black man, they don't represent any of us on the panel or BPTV or the community. They're all on
we
him.
ain't training in chains.
Another disclaimer. He got back-to-back disclaimers. I don't know if I can go to fiction and fact right now. That he's clearly off the rails right now, so his comments do not represent any of us or our show. So we got fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac in 10 seconds.
I got to give a shout out to my longtime friend. Didn't know he was as rich as he was when I used to sit next to him down the Stiller facilities. But Carolina Panther owner Tepper threw a drink in the fan's face and got fined $300,000. I tell you what.
Guess who? Hey, Smoking Jim. Guess who grew up with him?
Who?
Our former co-host Guns.
Wow, that's
He
right.
said he was one of the most non-athletic guys in the neighborhood.
Wow.
When he donated so much money to get Tepper Hall, and he was talking about he knows what it is to grow up in a tough neighborhood, Lawrenceville. Gunn said he started laughing because he never came out of his house to see what the neighborhood was like. Wow. So he's a very smart, geekish guy that has made billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know how to run a team.
Four-time Steeler MVP. Congratulations to TJ Watt. I said on draft day when the Steelers drafted
You were
him,
right.
I said he was going to be the best linebacker in Steeler history. Now I'm saying he's the best player in Steeler history. 95 sacks and still going strong for his career. Congratulations. The Pittsburgh Steelers got the vote right when they voted for the MVP, TJ Watt.
Smoking Jim, you were right on that call. I said you had to wait.
If you're white, you're
I
all
wait.
right.
Well, I knew. Again, disclaimer.
Hooray!
He's just a comedian here, so it means no offense to any of the white people out there. So we appreciate that.
Thank goodness.
I know. We got to watch these things. All right, we're going Nick VIP Callis time in 10 seconds.
Okay, the Steelers are like a mess and a half, but yeah, there's a lot to address, and they're doing good So that's kind of, interesting. Where do I start? Okay, quarterbacks. Mitch Trubisky clearly was not the guy. We know that, and here we are. Mason Rudolph, talking about giving him a fair chance. I like to think that he had a fair chance. Does that mean that he was existing in the most optimal circumstances? No. I think that Ben Roethlisberger, being the guy he got to look up to, was not the best circumstances for him. But I think he played in enough games where you kind of felt like, okay, I don't trust him enough. Mitch Trubisky, I think, played well enough against the Bengals to start the year to give you a little bit of hope. I don't think he should have played as much as he has this season, because I think after that first game he got in there, you're just like, this isn't the answer. He's not the guy. But Mason Rudolph, I don't blame anybody for counting him out, because I think playing in as many games as he did the season that Ben got hurt in 2019, you didn't trust him enough. You didn't trust him enough to get that start. And I think that bringing in a guy from Pitt who may have peaked during his senior season was a nice little touch that you could have in the game. Now, as for Kenny Pickett and his skill, I mean, whether or not this story is true, and I'm not 100% certain myself, I'm still wrapping my head around it and everything. Kenny Pickett not dressing for the game, not a good look. But and coming out and denying it too was not a smart move, because then all of the national pundits that didn't even know this was a thing, he made it a thing, because when you talk, when you talk publicly, the national media is going to come up with it. So not a great look for Pickett, because now people are asking questions. So there's that factor as well. I think Kenny Pickett in a vacuum was fine. I don't think that he was the best option. In hindsight, I would start Mason Rudolph, but if you didn't have the hindsight, he played well enough to win the Steelers games. And so I think that I'm not going to go back to him now, but I don't necessarily want to poo-poo him too much in this segment. I think he did enough to win the Steelers games when he played, and I don't think he lost one game against two games when he was playing. Every other team, they were able to squeak out wins. So again, not the best option, but he played well enough to win. He also seemed, now that I'm looking at Mason Rudolph and him play, I think Pickett was definitely more frightened in the pocket, and that was really evident because I'm watching Mason Rudolph in the pocket. He was given a few run fakes very well, very subtle with his tucking and am I handing it off?
Good
He
observation.
faked the camera person off a couple times as well. The camera people stayed on a wide shot because they didn't know who had the ball, and that was good. So Rudolph, those little things are helpful, as well as the fact that he can throw an accurate pass.
And stepping up in the pocket.
Right. Throwing an accurate pass roughly 50 yards, that's also helpful to do. And Big Mike got a good point there, too. Maybe Kenny Pickett could not throw the ball that far. I mean, it's possible. So, I mean, Rudolph right now, the optimal guy. And as for the wide receiver situation, perhaps in an old school time where Cowher or Knoll were the coaches, the receivers would not still be on the team. And so credit to the past. I do that a lot, right? The past versus now.
We thank you.
George Pickens, though, is making an impact enough where I think that now he's not above the law, and that's fine. But and again, not forgivable what he did, not blocking, and Deontay Johnson doing the same. And Deontay Johnson doesn't get a pass from me at all because he dropped routine passes before. He's been doing a little bit better lately, but George Pickens getting the ball is making a significant impact. And when he's a threat, I mean, it's like the defense doesn't know what to call because they make changes and then the Steelers adjust now. And I don't know if that's the offensive coordinator. I don't know if that's the offensive coordinators, excuse me. Whether that's
no play caller and
right, whatever they are, you know who they are.
They got 2 for 1.
Faulkner and Sullivan.
They pay less than a half mil.
You know who they are. We're good. But whether it's them calling the plays differently, whether it's the quarterback's just better and can handle that. Yeah, I mean they're doing better now, and Mason Rudolph's doing fine, and it's odd what's going on. But with all those factors in play, George Pickens, I think, can make an impact on the offense, and he has. And the fact that the Steelers' offense isn't predictable anymore with all of these factors in play is the important part altogether. So, I mean, in a perfect world, we'd like to discipline George Pickens more than he has publicly been. But then again, I mean, when you're giving him the football and when you're calling plays and you're executing plays the way they have been, where he's involved and he's making high impact and using the skills that he has, I mean, what is to complain about in that case? Of course, winning solves everything, but like, think about it. He wanted to play and he wanted to be more involved in plays, and now he is more involved in plays and he's making a solid impact. It's not like he's not making routine plays. He's making the exceptional plays still, and he's allowing the Steelers' offense to flow with everything else going on. So it's a difficult one. I said this last week. It's a difficult case study, but you're giving him the ball and he's producing. So what's to complain about in that case? That's just where it is. Again, in that perfect world, you want to discipline him, but then again, he's helping you win games right now, and winning is solving everything because he's an instrumental part of the wins. So I don't know anything. What's the
I'll give
opinion?
you one thing.
There's a lot going on.
I have one thing you'll know. He's AB the fourth.
Well, he hasn't.
Because look at AB. Long as he was catching and doing all those things, how many championships or playoff games did we win with the three Bs? 0. So far, I'll give you a little credit with Pickens. I don't know what to do with him, but I saw him make 2 blocks during the game.
When
He actually blocked.
How about
yeah.
When George Pickens shows up to spring ball in a helicopter, we can start comparing him to Antonio Brown.
No. When Tomlin gives him his own room out of the dormitory, he's there. So
I
I'm
just
going to
think
watch
Pickens
that.
wants to win so badly that it put himself in a bad light a few times.
I appreciate
he
your
went over
input
that.
there. Yes.
He went over the top.
And Chief McElroy, Boz could have been Steelers MVP. Longtime KO friend of mine, Doug Robeson's watching. He said, first time I caught the show, Alan, enjoying it. Paul Haley, Boz won at least 3 early games for us this year. We would have been 5-10 right now if it wasn't for his consistency. Yeah. Paul, I'll confront you on that. How about the defense winning 2 to 3 games?
Yeah, at least.
They scored more points than the offense. Yeah. Think about that. All right, we got to go to Ragin' Rhodey. I'll give you 4 minutes out of the 5.5 because I got a short on location. I know you got more to talk about.
I'm good.
Carrot, get Ragin' seconds. Look at that look.
All right, I guess I'm going. Oh, okay. I kind of did more raging in the first segment. But allow me. I got all my my rage out. But allow me to prognosticate, if I may.
You must.
All right. So
that's what we do the beginning of a year. Come on.
The Steelers are gonna beat Baltimore, even if Jackson plays, because they don't seem to have a problem beating that guy.
Yeah.
So and then I think that they're gonna get in, because Jacksonville's going to lose to Tennessee. Jacksonville has just fallen off.
Yeah.
And with Tannehill in, I think he's going to have one last hurrah and really show up. And that's going to spare us the misery of having to wait till 11:30 at night on Sunday with the Bills. So that puts the Bills are going to win. I don't see any way.
Keep going on. Carry on. You're talking good stuff
so
right
then they're
now
gonna
for
end
us fans.
They're going to end 7 seed going into Buffalo as the 2 seed. They beat Buffalo with Mason Rudolph under center. They win 1 game because I have to say that because I said they were going to win 11 games and win a
You
playoff.
did say that. We didn't want to go back in time.
So they're going to win 10 games and win a playoff game.
Wow.
Little did I know it was going to be with a different quarterback, but I've a little bit gone off the Kenny Pickett train. I got to be honest with you because I've always
you were riding that horse strong.
But I was there. I was with Mason first. Okay, so off season, we're going to draft another offensive lineman. All right, they desperately need cornerbacks.
Yes.
And they desperately need defensive linemen. But as I mentioned before in this show, outside of franchise quarterbacks, offensive linemen are the second hardest thing to get, and you don't get good ones in free agency. I'm hoping they're going to find a center. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
They can't go into it with Mason Cole at center again next year.
Thank you.
So they want to get a center. They're going to have a lot of cap space. People like, I do not think Cam Hayward's going to be back. Wow. I don't think Trubisky's going to be back. I think they will, at least I hope. They re-signed Mason Rudolph to about a $7-8 million, 2-year deal.
They'll double it to $2 million.
I think it's going to take a lot more than that. Again, if you look at what teams are doing to get a quarterback,
I'm
I
a
think,
bit contrary because of the Tomlin mentality on how great a coach he is. Why did he not ever start him before?
I think
about that question
he
in
never
their boardrooms.
He never fired an offensive coordinator before, and he
told them to retire.
And that's a good point. And but he's benched his starter. He's benched Pickett. So I think that he's going to be open. He's going to be back. I did not think he was going to be back in a million years.
Ago, yeah,
but I think he's going to go in and win that playoff game, and he obviously will be back. So I think that they're going to have a lot of cap space to buy a good corner and some defensive line depth. I think they need to draft 2 offensive linemen and a defensive lineman, or vice versa, in the first 3 rounds. And I think Mason Rudolph will win the quarterback job next year and be your starter next year.
You heard it here first. Raging Rhodey made his predictions. Although I'll throw in they need a inside linebacker or 2.
I don't think so. I think those 3 guys had played the best.
They got hurt.
They all got hurt.
Yeah.
They all got hurt. So
we need a couple extra.
You had 3 that play the best inside linebackers since LaVon Kirkland was here.
You are correct again.
Yeah, and
Raging Rhodey's on fire. Truly,
I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be just fine on all sides of the ball next year.
I appreciate your prognostications, and we're going to go to On Location in 10 seconds. Whoa, only about a minute to go. I don't have much on location. We're looking forward to shows and boxing in Coliseum Combat Zone, April 27th. That's our MMA show that I'm an MMA promoter. So look forward to that. We got started with some fighters to line up in the next couple weeks, so you'll see some words out on that. And we got boxing with Ray Schaefer Boxing Association. Colleen Chaos Davis is fighting in Atlantic City on January 12th, and they may do local boxing too. Other than that, thanks for all the great input. Mike, thanks for coming in. Nick, Smoking Jim, Johnny, Corey, Michael, Marco. I think I didn't miss anybody. Oh, myself too. I came in. Yeah, I can't believe it. It's chilly out there. Typical January weather, not much snow. So we're truly blessed with the weather. Keep watching our show. We never let the facts get in the way of our opinions. And we don't mind discussing things that we don't like to talk about, so stay tuned. And when you have some input, I try to recognize everybody, although it doesn't all show up. So please stay Joey strong.